So there's my hand. Hello. So right now we're gonna do some more video painting. This time, I think I'm just gonna do. Every time I like to do something a little different or challenge myself a little bit. Yeah. So today, I think I'm just gonna do just blatant input or output, I should say, to the encoder, mainly from the newer LZX modules, just to experiment, just to stay in that wheelhouse. A lot more people have those modules, and I feel like it'd be really beneficial to just kind of work through random things. Oh, my modular is so dirty. That's the one thing about always doing a lot of gigs and then coming home, you just kind of get lackadaisical about it. But that's another story for another day. And I'm rambling again. That may happen. Get used to it. So, what do I want to do here? Because what I wanted to really try to focus on is the bridge and somewhat the staircase, but mainly the bridge, because there's so many awesome features in it, between the mixer, the fader, and the multiples. And I mean, I use it all the time. I feel like it's a staple at this point, at least for me, and at least for you know, LFOs on the left side. I'm still getting used to using the fader and the mixer. Not that like I haven't really used it. I just sometimes it just doesn't click in my head to really get into that workflow. So I think right now would actually be a really cool thing to check out. Okay, also I'm lying. The only module we will use that's not LZX is just the LFO. Just because there's three of them and it's very versatile and it'll be very helpful, and it's pretty widely accessible. But in general, I want to try to stay with, you know, the prismatic rays, the bridge, and maybe the staircase. Navigator, shape changer, maybe. I love those, but I just want to challenge myself right now. So we're gonna go have this prismatic ray go into this. Actually, I'm gonna have it go in the fader A. And then I'm going to have this other prismatic ray go into the staircase, which the divided one is going to be. So this will be one output. Well, we're going to just go to red with this. Whoops. Actually, we'll go to blue. So right now, it's just mainly this waveform generator, and you can't really see anything going on right here yet. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So actually, let me make it. No, we'll keep it vertical for now. There we go. It's kind of hard to move modules when you're not looking at the screen. So as you can see, this is AB. So that's why I wanted to use some of the CV so I can modulate it. But I'm gonna use a stackable because we're also gonna get weird. So here we go. That's pretty cool so far, you know, just the mixing the two together. Again, it's prismatic ray into staircase, into B of the fader, regular unmodulated prismatic ray into A, and then modulating it with this triple video LFO. Well, the next thing, I'm going to take the divided 4 and I'm going to modulate the frequency of this other prismatic ray. This is where I think with this other one right here, which I originally had as vertical, I'm going to go to horizontal. So we're just going to experiment with that for a minute. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I like sort of what's going on, but let's get some more colors in here. And again, this is a challenge. It's trying to get me to think really far out the box. So let's take this divided 2 and mix this here, and we'll take this. Since we already did that one, we'll take this one and we'll mix it, but then we'll do the plus from the modulated prismatic ray on the right. Okay, so now we're going to take that out. That's going to go to the mixer. And that's in red. So there you go. Actually, I'm going to also stackable this one, which goes into the positive, and go to the LFO. Okay, so now we can get some more movement here. So that's definitely getting better. So I like what's going on somewhat. Not that I don't. I mean, I do. I just want to get nice and complex. Okay, so I switched it back to vertical, and this one is vertical. Okay, that's pretty darn cool. So let me change the LFO rates. Cool. So the next thing, since we still need to do green, I am going to use the bridge right now for the LFO. One of these LFOs is going to go into this frequency of the staircase. So now when I modulate it with this other LFO, we're going to get some really cool stuff. Oh, okay. So now that I'm pretty much using one LFO to crush, you could say, I guess, the frequency, so it gets to something like that. I wouldn't know how you describe it. I mean, yeah, you are modulating it and condensing it, you're multiplying it, but to me, it's kind of, you're crushing it to a degree. And so now, yeah, we have to think about the next move of what color we want to have come out, or what source we want to go to green. So I think I'm actually going to take the staircase raw from, let's see, yeah, from divided 4, since that's only being used as a modulation point. And then, oh, see, now we're talking. Get it slowed down. So that's a big thing whenever I do video. I don't mind it blinky. I guess I like for it to unfold almost as if like you just dropped a piece of paper and you're trying to grab it and it keeps flying in different directions, so you just keep tricking yourself really. So now you can see where the staircase was really holding a lot of depth in this patch, and bam, we got a really nice patch out of this. And yeah, there you go. That's it. Really interesting depth of colors, good modulation. You know, you have the frequency modulation over here, the stable version, so you can kind of shape it a little bit. And, you know, messing with the pedestal and the multiply, you can really get some cool stuff in terms of coloring. So this is the multiply, at least the multiple, or the gain, I should say. Sorry, I always get confused which one is which. So the gain and then the multiple, you can get some really good range. But then with the pedestal, you can actually separate, because of how this waveform or this oscillator is working in the patch. I could just have it, you know, the frequency modulation just stable like that, stable as in it's not bent. Or I could, you know, bend it and give it a little more texture, or lower the frequency so it's more sparse. So those are some ways you could just use those 3 things, or I should say 4 things, to create a cool complex pattern, or patch and pattern. Yeah, I'm going to correct myself a lot, so you know. And so the bridge itself is actually a very versatile module. I feel like that's one of the best things that every case should have. Even 2 of them, I mean, I should invest in at least 4, which is kind of obscene, but the amount you can do with that as an auxiliary movement, instead of you saying, oh, I'm just going to go oscillator to filter, filter to this, it's really good to have that breaking up of, oh, I can mix these 2 and combine them down. I feel like that's a really, really, really useful utility. You know, at this point, I think utilities are a real big piece of the pie. Oh, and so lastly, we're going to take the phase right here, and we're going to go into this other waveform, or into this prismatic, out from prismatic right, into the VC phase of the staircase. And so now let's just mess with the LFO a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there we go. There's that. Let's see what else we got here. I kind of want to modulate that too with this other prismatic ray. So sometimes it's really cool when you go ray to ray and you use them as, you know, cross pattern modulation. I feel like that can be really useful, but I can explore that in another video. In this case, let's see what we can do. Maybe frequency. No. Maybe if I do horizontal. No. Yeah, you can see where it is. Yeah, where that is. That little ripple is from that. But I don't really like that. So I'm actually going to go out from this mixer into that and see what happens. Okay, so now we're talking some really cool stuff here. And so we're actually going to take another LFO and go into this pedestal. Actually, we'll go, no, we're going to change again. So this was going into the multiply. We're going to change into this pedestal and see what happens. Maybe the multiply. And then the LFO into the frequency. So let's just see what we can do with this. I mean, maybe it won't be anything. Maybe it'll be something really fun. But see, this is the thing. Let's see. Yep, okay, so here we go. But that doesn't look right. Yeah, there's a good amount of feedback in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to scrap that, go back to the mixer out. But instead, I am going to take the output of the staircase, the divide by 2, and put it to this frequency modulation point. So let me slow it down for you. Okay. Cool. Let me slow this down a little more. Boom. Okay, now we're talking. Yeah. No, come on, slow down more. As you can see, I've used this brown cheese only LFO a lot, so it's a little off at points. Yeah, and you can see where just messing with the pedestal on the oscillator on the right really changes the color depth, and then the oscillator on the left, you can see, has some really interesting modulation points. So now we're going to mess with the staircase. So I just increase or decrease the multiple of the LFO, which a lot of times I like a little more. Sometimes it just really depends on the patch. But okay, so now we've reached a zone. So let's see if I can obfuscate that a little more, or at least get this into a good position and slow it down. Obfuscate's the wrong word, but what I want to do is create space. This almost looks like a ladder now. Okay, let's slow you down. And then, okay, there we go. There's the speed of you. And then, there we go. Cool. So now we have this almost ladder looking thing, which with the staircase you can really get a lot of range out of what you could do with this type of design and or signal path. And even just playing with it, yeah, that's a really nice sheen right there. With the multiple, a lot of times, especially going through the staircase, you can really develop some nice textures and color scores. So let's see, I'll just do it for like another minute or so. Let me get that down slower. Okay, and this one even slower. Yeah, now that's what I like to see. Good color definition. I like to see the angling just slightly enough so it kind of plays with your eye, and then there's a little depth that isn't repeated. When I mean the depth, the little black areas, so you can actually see the coloring the shading, I should say, really plays with the depth of field. And really having good contrasting colors, like the pockets of yellow with the green and then the blue. This is a great way you can do this. Again, this is all just purely the newer LZX stuff, the prismatic ray, the bridge, and the staircase. And I'm not using Visual Cortex. I do not have a Visual Cortex at the moment. I have the Cadet series. I've set it up just so it's the bare bones setup of the sync and the RGB encoder, but this could easily still be achieved with Visual Cortex. So don't let the setup deter you in any way. And I'm just having too much fun now. I want to slow this down real nice. Okay, so yeah, that's another session. I hope you guys have a good time. If you have any questions, let me know.